this is a highfalutin show.
I know it.
And we have a lot of corporate sponsors.
I know it.
One is Famous Amos Cookies. If it ain't Famous Amos, it ain't cookies.
They're better than Chips Ahoy.
Here's my question. New family size? What, a family of 12?
I guess there was an old family size.
I've never seen a bag of cookies that big in my
Oh man, but look at them, though.
Right, I know. But then why do they give you the bites? They give you a bag that big, but they're bite size.
You get more cookies.
Makes you think you're getting more cookies.
Thank you. Thank you.
Know, I mean,
once again,
it's still 1 pound, 11 ounces.
Something like that.
That's a lot of chocolate chip cookies.
there it is. 765 grams of cookies.
Anyway, we like to thank Famous Andy for
Famous who?
Amos.
Oh,
Famous Amos.
Amos. Amos.
One of them A's.
Old black guy with a hat. That's what you really wanted to say. Well, welcome back to Talking Sports. Man, look at the notes.
I know.
I see notes and
Phone numbers. We get rid of that one.
yeah, we don't want that to get out on the air. You still write phone numbers down?
No, I don't.
Do you memorize phone numbers?
No, I don't.
Even before the cellular explosion and smartphones?
Hey, if you ain't called me and I contact you like they do,
Tough luck, huh?
tough luck.
Cool beans.
Unless, they say you remember the phone numbers that are important to you.
Okay.
So there are certain numbers that I do.
Do you remember?
Yeah, I
What's
do
Joe's
remember.
phone number?
Joe's got the devil in his phone number. That's how I remember his.
You're the 666s.
Yeah.
Ah.
You know.
Well, at least I feel touched.
3 out of the 7.
Hey.
Ain't bad.
It warms the cockles of my heart.
It should.
Have you ever seen the cockles of my heart?
Every time I dial your phone number, I get scared.
Do you?
I
'Cause
figure
you
when
just
I
wait
get
for
to
the
that-
beast to come out.
When I get to that third six, I'm gonna have
Sam, you must die.
it. Exactly.
Well, don't worry, that won't happen until the end.
I hope not.
The apocalypse.
I hope not. NFL draft was last night. Jay.
Man,
I think I caught it. I mean, it was boring. I haven't watched the draft, y'all, in
Just pick a number.
that long.
Right. Just like when you started remembering phone numbers.
But last night I said, well, let me sit down and just see what's going on.
Okay.
I think I caught up to the 10th round after Minnesota picked that one dude, linebacker. And
I see you were impressed by
yeah.
the pick. That one dude, the linebacker.
You know what? I rolled over.
Right.
And that was all she wrote after that.
Well, just like you started off early, somebody starting off early here with a phone call, 359-9227.
We had a call?
We got a caller. We got a caller.
This
So we're going to put him on.
This early in the game?
This is like a referee calling a technical foul.
He must got something important to say.
It might be impotent or it might be important. We're going to find out. Talking Sports, talk to us, caller. Caller, are you there?
Oh, Jazz put
On air?
You're on the air.
Oh, sorry.
Didn't want to be on the air? Well, obviously not. Must be an NFL scout or GM. He had some inside information and didn't want to share it with us.
That was the first.
There you go. But if you want to talk sports, 359-9227. If you want to be on the air, 359-9227. If you want to talk to Sam and get some psychic information, call after 4 o'clock.
After 4 o'clock. All right, here we go.
Back to the draft. So you didn't think it was... Now, what are you looking for when you say the draft was boring? I mean, what do you want them to do? You want the players to go up there with the hair on fire?
They did everything I expected of them to do.
Which is?
There was the talk, who's up, who's going to pick whom, and showcasing who should go this round, this, that, and the other, and until they got all that going on until the commission gets up there and says, with the first pick, the Houston Texans choose, however you pronounce this, for Clowney.
Jadeveon.
Clowney. All right, now you got the next pick is what, 15 minutes? They got 15 minutes on the clock?
10, 15 minutes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, for the next 10, 15 minutes, you get the commentators saying who should get picked. No, well, first they go through over the Clowney dude. And then they start talking about the next pick, what they should get, so. And it got real boring. Like, real fast.
Well, I think
Old lady like, you watching this?
you got to remember, like you said, with 10 minutes in between picks, they've got a lot of time to fill. And to me, the only way you can make the draft exciting is you've got to reduce that time.
From 10 minutes to like
5 minutes. Like the NBA, when you watch the NBA draft, it's only 2 rounds, and it's 5 minutes for the first round for each pick, and 2 minutes for the second round. I mean, they blow through that thing, and they're done. But you have to remember the reason why the NFL draft is this way. You think about how careers, and when I say careers, I'm not talking about the players, coaches, general managers, player personnel. You picked the wrong guy.
Oh, there's a lot of finger pointing going
Oh,
on.
there you go. Well, you said you wanted a quarterback. Well, I said a linebacker. And next thing you know, everybody's fired.
You've been knowing the NFL draft was coming up since last year, what day was going to be last year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, since school was out and those announcing who they was going to enter the draft, since they did that.
Right.
And so I'm pretty sure these guys had talked about who they want to get, this, that, the other. And, like that all depends on what they take. You got people trading up and down to get people.
Mm-hmm.
So, I understand there's a lot of things to take into consideration, but still.
You still think 10 minutes is just
Too damn long.
too long? Well, it used to be 15. So they have cut it down. And then what they've also done, remember the draft used to be like a 1 or 2 day event.
Still is.
Well, no. Now
the second round starts sometime tonight, don't it?
Yeah.
7 o'clock.
Yeah, you'll have the second and third round tonight, and then Saturday you'll have I want to say fourth and fifth, and then Sunday. So they spread it out over 4 days. When it used to be Saturday, you'd get up, they do the first round. I think they go 1 through 4 on Saturday, and then do 5 through 7. The other thing, the draft used to be 12, 16 rounds. I mean, it used to be some ridiculous number. So they have shortened it. They're trying to put some pizzazz to it in terms of next year. They're talking about moving it, maybe doing part of it in New York, some of it in Chicago, so that the fan bases can get involved. On the football side, here's the thing for me. It really doesn't mean a hill of beans because, and here's my test I give to everybody. When you watch the draft and, they say, okay, the 5th pick was Khalil Mack, outside linebacker, Buffalo, going to Oakland. Oakland fans either cheer or they boo. And everybody, oh, that was a stupid pick. Oh, that was a great pick. My response is, who was the 5th pick last year? There you go. And you know why? Because it really, in this big scheme of things, doesn't matter until the teams get together in camp, time to get on the field, and then when they start playing, you look up and you see a guy that, is out there just going nuts on the field, and you find out he's a free agent. He wasn't even drafted.
Right.
Or another guy is a 6th round pick. Or today's athletes, there's not that much separation anymore like it used to be. Now, Clowney, you get a guy who's 6'4", 6'5", 260 some odd pounds, runs a. That's that once in a lifetime type of guy. But let's talk about the quarterbacks last night. Everybody and their mama said that there was going to be at least 4 quarterbacks in the first round.
I think 3 went in the first round. 2 or 3
3 went in the first round, but look where they went. Everybody just knew Johnny Manziel was the odds-on. You heard Bortles back and forth, Teddy Bridgewater, this, that, and the other. Johnny Manziel didn't even get picked until the 22nd pick, and Cleveland had to trade up to get him.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Teddy Bridgewater gets picked in the last pick of the first round after Minnesota did the same. They traded up out of the second round to get him. And the guy who went first, Blake Bortles, you hadn't heard of Blake Bortles until late last year playing for Central Florida. And, he's that, what they call prototypical, 6'5", 235, rocket arm, can't, quote unquote, can't miss. Wasn't that Blaine Gabbert 3 years ago for Jacksonville?
But Blaine Gabbert isn't 6'5", 250 though.
He's
Or
what?
whatever Bortles is. I mean, he's not much bigger than we are.
Right.
So, I don't know if
He's all choked up over the pick.
Yeah, I know. I still.
I really like this guy, man.
if that's a fair comparison because of the difference in physical stature between Bortles and Gabbert didn't play for George O'Leary,
Right.
who got Bortles from everything that I know, which probably isn't much, NFL ready because of the systems and the knowledge that O'Leary has and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you know, you could say the same thing about Cleveland. That's where quarterbacks go to die.
Right.
So,
And that's what I'm saying. And that's why I said at the beginning, does it really matter?
Well, obviously it mattered to the crew at ESPN last night because all they talked about was Johnny Manziel.
Oh, they're
After every pick, they go show Johnny Manziel sitting over there in the corner somewhere.
Well, that goes to your point at the beginning about excitement. That's how they gin up the crowd is, you know, they've talked in the past. You go back to 2005 when Aaron Rodgers sat for 3-4 hours not getting picked. So the same thing they have to do with what you talked about earlier. They have to pick a player, whether it be Johnny Manziel, whether it be a linebacker or whoever, and they got to put a focus on him in terms of when will he go, why? Because it also goes to the credibility of those guys, those draft experts, the Mel Kipers.
of the world, yeah.
Right. Those guys have spent the past 4 months feeding us. Oh, he's a can't miss. He's a can't miss. He's a can't miss.
And all these different mock
Drafts, and I think he should go number 3 or he should go number 5. And they'd be crazy if they. Go back to what I said earlier. Mel Kiper, Todd McShay, Mike Mayock, and all these other guys can make all these predictions. But if I'm a general manager of a team, I only got one shot, I'm not going to rest my career on what Mel Kiper draft expert says or anything like that. Because if Mel Kiper's wrong, does he keep his job?
Of course he does.
Exactly.
Because he get to do it again next year.
And he's been doing it since 1983.
All right, let me ask you about all these first-round picks. Now, you know, they come in rookies due to the collective bargaining agreement. Everybody get paid pretty much the same.
Right, you're all slotted in.
Right, everybody gets paid pretty much the same. So what's the big deal about being taken number one?
Well, you get paid the most.
That and the ego.
I think it's ego, as Mike said, but I think when it comes to collective bargaining, you're slotted based on, in terms of your salary, based on where you're picked. So, for example, Jadeveon Clowney is going to make probably 3 times more than Johnny Manziel being picked 22 compared to 1. So that's where the matter is when it comes to dollars and cents. Will Jadeveon Clowney make what Sam Bradford made, who was the last guy who got one of those mega contracts from the draft?
Nope.
The answer is no. Not at all. Sam Bradford got, what, a $50 million signing bonus?
Something like that, yeah, something crazy.
And that's when they were like, okay, wait a minute.
When he came out as a rookie?
When he came out as a rookie. That's when they had to change the system because it was like you had too many guys coming into the league getting paid more than veterans and hadn't played one snap.
Right.
Now with this system, this is similar to what the NBA has, where you get drafted number 1, yeah, we're going to pay you because you're number 1 stature, but you're not going to get paid a $50 million, $60 million guaranteed contract at the beginning, and you ain't played one down. You know, so the matter, it does matter to get picked high.
That pissed me off too.
Well, I think when Bradford signed his, that contract paid him more than Peyton Manning was making.
Right.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that was what the deal was about.
Right. And you think about it. What has Sam Bradford done in his, 5-6 years in the league?
Didn't he get benched last year?
He got
He
hurt.
got hurt.
Yeah.
A couple of years he's been hurt.
ACL tear last year. You know, so
Well, I don't look for Manziel to be in the league very long. Mike gave him 9 years. I don't give him that many.
9 years, not as necessarily as a quarterback, but just in the league.
in the league. Well, you know what? The issue that you see with quarterbacks in the NFL, unless you are Tom Brady or Peyton Manning or Drew Brees, Eli Manning or Phillip Rivers, and maybe Ben Roethlisberger to a latter extent, you going down. And the 6 guys I just named off all of them have been hurt too.
Yeah, but they're pocket quarterbacks
Right.
too. All the ones you name are pocket quarterbacks. Those that move around, RG3. You see what happened to him. Michael Vick. You saw what happened to him. Who else? Anyway, like I said, these defensive ends and defenses are faster than some of these running backs nowadays. Running quarterbacks, what they call the wildcat shotgun or spread offense, it's going to be a dinosaur here in the next couple of years.
I tend to disagree with you a little bit on that. The spread offense is here to stay, and going to your point about the draft, you can tell that by the guys who got picked yesterday. The old days, the first round was meant for running backs and linemen. You would see 4 or 5 top running backs get drafted. You see offensive tackles get drafted, and maybe every now and then a defensive end, thrown into there. Yesterday you saw 4 or 5 wide receivers.
Yeah.
Several defensive backs, safeties, and corners.
Yeah, I can bring that up.
And we saw 3 quarterbacks go. And then we saw 4 offensive tackles, the guys who get paid to protect
the quarterback.
There you go. So, and how many running backs did you see go in the first round last night?
None, I don't think.
0. Running backs, when you talk about a thing of the past, that's what the thing of the past is. Running backs are not going to get the love like they used to do when we were growing up, where the Tony Dorsetts or the Jim Browns or the Walter Paytons, OJs, you name it, even the Barry Sanders. I think Adrian Peterson theoretically could be the last of the quote-unquote great back, that can't miss running back that people have to draft in the first round, because the emphasis is on what? Throwing the football. And as long as you're throwing the football, you need guys who can block for you, as Mike indicated.
And catch it.
And catch it. That's it. That's why, like, Manziel's receiver and offensive tackle went before him.
He did, yeah.
Receiver went 7th, and the offensive tackle went 6th?
Yeah.
So that gives you an idea of how the NFL rules changes have changed who you pick. But I go back to what I said earlier. Think about receivers. Bears had what was the guy, Alshon Jeffrey?
Yeah.
And what round did the Bears get him in?
3rd?
Like 3rd or 4th round.
Something like that, yeah.
He was probably one of the best receivers in all of the NFL last year. I bet you if you go back to whatever draft that was, I think it was just 2 years ago that he came out, 2-3 years ago, and look at the Mel Kiper description of Alshon Jeffrey, that's probably the reason why he went in the 4th round. I really believe it's a paralysis by analysis, as they call it, where these guys get too much data. Like the Teddy Bridgewater kid out of Louisville. Now, you've watched Teddy Bridgewater for the past 3 years and his maturation from a young freshman at Louisville to being one of the top quarterbacks in all the nation. He was considered by far probably one of the top quarterbacks coming out. One pro day where he's throwing in his t-shirts and his shorts, and he had a bad day, and that wipes out 3 years worth of work on the field.
Yeah, but then they say you got to do it over again. This time he had his receivers and kids with him that he normally work with, and he looked pretty darn good.
Yeah, but my thing is, why is that even necessary? You know what I mean? If I've watched you play, game action, not no simulation in shorts, if I watched you play against the highest competition, you play against a team like Florida in a bowl game, and you throw 6 touchdowns against Florida, it's pretty good data for me. If I watch Mike play in the Big Ten for 4 years, and he's tackling everybody in the Big Ten, do I need to see Mike run 40 yards in t-shirt and shorts?
It's all about,
and then how high he can jump?
It's all about the numbers. You know, I mean, it's been that way ever since the computer system came.
Right, but my point is about the numbers. What numbers do I want? Do I want Mike running a 4.4, or do I want to see that Mike tackled 125 people?
I'm sorry. You see that baseball, whatever it is? Remember when I got that?
The baseball perspective?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that? It's all numbers. Every team, every player, how they bat when it's nighttime and it's 7 o'clock and the sun's going down.
I understand the analytical side.
Yeah, exactly. All that information that you probably never used or never thought would be relative. Same thing with the NFL draft.
But here's the thing: I heard the new GM of Cleveland say when he got asked about Manziel, why'd you draft him? Da 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 da. He said, we saw the film, we saw this, we saw that. He's a gym rat. He's this, that, and the other. But the guy says, for me, it's what's in here. It does he win ball games? I don't care what the numbers say. Does he win? And I heard on a different program the other day, they were talking about Jonathan Brown from Illinois' chances in the draft. And the report was he's undersized, he doesn't weigh enough, he's not fast, he's not this, he's not that, he's not whatever. And that was from one of the alleged draft experts. And then one of the scouts for the team says, but you know what? He can play football.
Right.
So,
and see, that's where I go with it, is that I look at last year's Super Bowl champ, the Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson, he was too small.
5'10".
He played for Wisconsin and North Carolina State. Maybe he didn't have blowout mouth to water stats, but it goes with what Mike said. You can't measure his heart and his competitiveness. He gets drafted in the 3rd round, and 2 years later, he's a Super Bowl champ.
Mm-hmm.
And think about all other quarterbacks who picked before him. And that's my point. Tom Brady, 6th round, 199th pick. Joe Montana, 3rd round, Notre Dame. I mean, the list goes on and on and on in terms of this paralysis by analysis, where people just get too, they start measuring your hand size. And, well, Sam's hand is 9 7/8, and Mike's hand is 9 1/4, so we'll trust Sam with the ball more because he's got bigger hands, and
Well, a good example of this, and I don't remember where he was drafted, but where's Walter Payton wasn't a 1st round pick, I don't believe. I could be wrong, but
he was a 1st round pick, but he was a low.
Right,
Yeah, he was
late in the 1st round, and for the longest time he's the NFL career rush leader.
Right.
So,
And Jerry Rice, middle round pick out of Mississippi Valley State, didn't have blazing speed, etc. He just went on to be the greatest receiver of all time. So I think, in looking at this, first of all, I think it's always, to me, it's too early when teams pick a player to determine his value until they play. And I think even more importantly, I think it takes at least 3 to 5 years before you even know you've had a successful draft. Because let's look at Sammy Watkins. Sammy Watkins, 4th pick, he's going to Buffalo. Well, he's going to be playing with a 2nd-year quarterback in E.J. Manuel. It may take them a little while to get some chemistry going.
Mm-hmm.
There's another receiver there, Robert Woods, that came in last year out of USC. Pretty good receiver. Mike Williams, who's a free agent they picked up.
What's that quarterback name again?
E.J. Manuel.
That's your little brother?
Yeah, he came out of Florida State. So they've got to work some time together. Flip side, I look at the Dallas Cowboys, America's team. I really thought that Jerry Jones, I always talk about, he's the money and he's always about the money, etc. Imagine if he would have picked Johnny Manziel with the 16th pick. And what would have happened with Cowboy Nation? You got Tony Romo, 34, 35 years old, coming off a couple back surgeries this off season. And now you got Manziel on the sideline. In Dallas. A Texas boy.
From just down the road from Dallas,
right?
As a matter of fact.
And they picked an offensive lineman out of Notre Dame.
I don't think no. Knowing Jerry Jones, he could have handled the media blitz that was going to come with getting the Johnny Manziel in Dallas, but I don't think he was that keen on getting him. I really don't.
Well,
I think
it would have pissed Tony Romo off too.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, he knows Romo's been beat up constantly for the past few years, and you go out and you get a really solid left tackle. I mean, if I'm Tony Romo watching the draft and I see that pick, I'm like, oh, okay, all right. Maybe
Romo,
I'll only suffer 100 sacks this year.
He lucky he's still on the team. He should have been gone. Who's the coach too? Garrett or whatever.
Garrett, yeah, Jason Garrett.
He should have been gone too, but that's just me personally.
Yeah. Well, like you said, tonight you go in this second and third rounds tonight. Houston, they need a quarterback. Maybe you see Derek Carr, David Carr's brother from Fresno State. Maybe he gets picked.
Garoppolo.
Yeah, what about
Garoppolo
the
from
guy from Eastern? Yeah.
He's still available. A.J. McCarron, two-time national champ from Alabama. I've always wondered about that. Here it is. He's good enough to lead the best team in the nation to, a couple championships. But now when it comes to professional football,
He ain't good enough.
he ain't right. I'm really lost on that one there. In terms of, you talked earlier about a lot of GMs look for heart and ability to win. That's all he's done his entire career.
But look what he had to work with, though.
I'm
No,
not.
but that's what he's going to be working with in the NFL
Right.
too. So,
Well, yeah, you're right about that. I'm
and
sorry.
he was 24-1 or something like that.
Right. And all you want him to do, if you think about it as a quarterback, because you're playing with 21 other guys on offense and defense, they just don't want you to screw it up. I think that's what, if you really think about the difference between Peyton Manning and, for lack of a better term, his brother Eli Manning. You just don't want him. Peyton goes out those 7 touchdowns, no interception. Eli goes out those 7 interceptions, no touchdowns. Now he has won a couple of Super Bowls, but why? You said it. Everybody else.
Everybody else.
You just don't want that quarterback under center. Just go back to when the Bears lost to the Colts in the Super Bowl. What was the Bears' downfall? Rex Grossman. He screwed it up. Interceptions, fumbles. If he doesn't go out there and screw it up, the Bears probably win that Super Bowl. The defense was good. They had a good running game, and they had the best kick returner at the time in Devin Hester. But their quarterback screwed it up. And I think if you can just get a guy, he doesn't have to be, throwing the ball through the wall. Everybody talks about Brett Favre, how good Brett Favre was. He only won 1 Super Bowl in his career. And he was a touchdown leader, but he was also the interception leader.
Well, a good example of what you're talking about, Joe, is Tom Brady.
Not big, not strong.
Doesn't have that rocket arm necessarily.
That's it.
And he's got, 4 Super Bowls, I think, something like that?
Got 3, been to 5. And why is that? Because he doesn't screw it up. Tom Brady will throw it to the open guy. As simple as that sounds, you imagine if there's a guy standing there 3 yards away and there's a guy 15 yards away, but there's defenders around him. Most of these quote-unquote strong-arm quarterbacks want to sling it down the middle.
Jay Cutler.
Right. Because it looks good. Tom Brady will say, here, I'll throw it to the fullback. I'll throw it to the tight end. That's the reason why it doesn't matter who his receivers are.
Let them run for 10 or 15 yards.
That's it. And then they'll just matriculate on down the field. Hank Stram.
Unless you got one of them prima donna receivers who always want the football. We ain't gonna name no name.
And I'm glad you said that, because now let's go to the draft. The teams who go out and draft these prima donna receivers, what do they have to do? They got to keep the receiver happy. Mm-hmm. So then they got to go out and get the rocket arm quarterback. And guess what they're doing? They're playing pitch and catch with each other. And so the defense says, well, we know this, he's going to throw it over here 70, 80% of the time. Mm-hmm. So guess what? We'll just shift our defense that way. Tom Brady, it doesn't matter if he's got an axe murderer, no pun intended, Hernandez, or Randy Moss. If you're open, he's going to get you the ball.
And Peyton is the same way.
Right. That's it. That's why Peyton has been good, whether it was in Indianapolis
Didn't matter where he was.
or Denver. He's going to be good because they want to get it to the open guy.
Give me 5 guys that can catch the ball consistently, and I'll win a lot of football games.
All right.
Local teams who drafted the Bears got what?
Bears took Cal Fuller, cornerback from Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
They could use some defense.
Oh, yeah, they can.
And, we already know that Teddy Bridgewater from Louisville went to Minnesota. Minnesota also took Anthony Barr. That was a linebacker I couldn't think of earlier.
A lot of the experts didn't have Barr. He was a first-round pick, but not a top 10 in their estimation. But Minnesota needs defense. They need improvement at linebacker. So it was kind of a natural fit for them. That's why I say, when people say, oh, you shouldn't have took that guy there. Well, if I need a corner like the Bears, think about the Bears cornerbacks. Both of them are over the age of 30. You know, the Bears' problem was their secondary. So they're going to need a corner. There could have been other players out there the Bears could have drafted, probably so. But they fit their need. Minnesota, Anthony Barr. Maybe he's not a top 10 or 20 pick for some other team, but that's what their need was. And they, you know, the final analysis, until they get on the field and get in the system that they're drafted into. I mean, what happens when Clowney gets down there in Houston and doesn't produce?
J.J. Watt's going to have a discussion with him,
Right.
I'm afraid.
And now you're going to be, oh, well, say, I told you should have drafted. Nobody knew until you got him on the field.
All right.
So,
Mr. Purtle made an observation when we were sitting up here a few hours ago. He made an observation, but I really didn't pay no attention to it, about when the players' names are called, especially the African-American players' name are called. You know, they get up and, you know, hug their girlfriend, hug their mother. But he says there's no fathers was there. He said when the white players got drafted, you see they get up, they hug, big old handshake and hug from dad and mom and sisters and brothers. But with the African American players, it was only mothers there.
well, what I saw men at the table, but they never said who their relationship was.
Yeah, I brought that to his attention too. But you know, if that was his father, would he have got up and gave him a good old hearty handshake and hug and congratulations?
Well, like I said, I've sat there and watched it, and I saw men at the table. They never said what the relationship those men were to the players. But I also think it also goes to the storyline. A lot of people like the storyline of the mother and son relationship. And Teddy Bridgewater, growing up, his mother had breast cancer. She beat it. When he was 9, the story is he told her that when he makes it to the NFL, he's going to buy his mom a pink Cadillac.
Yeah, I saw that.
And he bought her, a couple days before the draft, a pink Escalade, you know, basically rewarding her for. Now, what's the background with Teddy Bridgewater and his dad? They don't play that in the media. And that's one of the areas, when you talk from a race standpoint, you see it consistently. Kevin Durant, and I know we'll probably talk a little bit about basketball later, but you saw that in his acceptance speech. He talked about his mother at age 21, single parent, etc. The media loves that story because you see so many of them. Doesn't mean there's not dads out there working with their sons and being at the games, you know, so on. Bill Cosby did a comedy sketch years ago, and he talked about the dad out there in the yard knocking the son over and getting him ready for football and playing with him, playing with him. And then next thing you know, the kid goes on, he called it Big U. And the kid's playing for Big U, and he gets out there and runs through 100 people and scores a touchdown. And first thing he says when he gets to the camera, he says, "Hi, Mom." So,
Women, damn it.
You get all the
you
credit.
know. So are there single parent, single mothers out there? Yes, there are.
Did the article that y'all read about Teddy Bridgewater buying the Cadillac for his mom, did it say who the dealer was? Because I need a deal like that.
What do you mean?
Go pick up a thing before I get drafted. Get the car beforehand.
Mike, there's a little thing out there called earning potential.
I got some. Not much, but I got some.
I hear you.
Now, if you got Cadillac Escalade earning potential, I think you can do that.
You never know.
You know, but if you got a
Mike got earning potential.
skateboard earning potential, like most of us have, but I guess that would be my response to that, Sam, is that
Well, you know, he brought that to my attention. Like I never paid much attention to it, but you know, but you know, get a dad some credit.
but I guess my response back to you, when have you ever seen dads get credit in those athletic situations?
Well,
Unless the dad is like the coach.
Look at Archie Manning.
Well, but the Mannings aren't African American.
Yeah, that's true.
They're real white.
And
Let me.
I've never seen any of them with a tan. I'm sorry. Maybe,
not even Cooper.
no, well, maybe Cooper.
All right, let me think of one. Let's see.
Well, When you guys were talking about that, I was thinking about Nathan Shieldhouse and his dad, but that's maybe not a good example.
No,
as
that's
it
not a
turned
good example.
out.
But I mean, good example or not, I think one of the things, and let's take that for what did they do with that? You just said it.
They blew it all out of proportion.
But did they turn it into a positive or a negative? They took the father-son relationship there and made it a negative story. All because of one incident, which, quite frankly, unless you were there, you really don't know
What happened?
what happened in terms of that. But most of the time, and Mike pointed it out, and this goes back to a conversation we've been having for about 2 or 3 weeks now about race, is that when the story is being told, depending on the perspective of the story, and this story of the absentee father within the African American community, and then the athlete who rise above the ashes to come from the obscure, and his mother was hard working, and etc. That is that story that the media. You talked earlier about excitement. That's what they love to serve, to have the American public eat up, and the public eats it up.
A different sport, but an example, a good example would be, in fact, we were talking about a couple weeks ago, and that's the Pauls. Mom and Dad Paul are both there. They're both hardworking folks. I mean, Brandon didn't go to the NBA, and Darius is still here at school, but there are those examples that I'm sure are out there all over the country. But as y'all have said, it's not exciting. It's not played up by the media. It's not this. It's not that. So.
No.
All right.
I mean, we talk in terms of social issues. Is there an issue within the African American community in reference to dads? The answer is yes. But when I go out there to Douglas and watch the number of fathers working with their sons when it comes to baseball program, when I go to middle school basketball games and youth football games and see the number of dads working the sideline as yard markers and coaches and parent reps, and then when you go to high school sports and you see the number of dads in the stands or on the sidelines, and then when they have senior night where the parents get to walk out with their athlete and you see the number of dads there, I see that on a consistent basis, and that's why I go back to and what Mike said, but is that story sexy? Does that story sell? That, Dad was there from day one, and unfortunately the answer is no.
Media sucks, don't it?
What it is, it's not what media sucks, it's what we eat. And if they serve it and we keep eating it, they're going to keep serving it.
That's right. Well, that's what they're there for.
Right.
All right. After 23 games decided by 5 points or less, 8 overtime games, 5 game 7s, which is the league record for the most in any playoff. The NBA, we got a phone call? All right, we'll take that phone call.
359-9227. Hopefully you want to be on the air this time. Talking sports, talk to us, caller.
Yeah, you guys are talking on a good topic. I just wanted to add, look at Jonathan Martin. They didn't want to never talk about his parents, but they want to talk about the situation that happened with him and Richie Incognito.
Right.
And remember Chris Robert. He grew up in a 2-parent household.
Right. Right.
But I know what you guys are saying, but they always want to fit us in that box and that narrative, like Michael Owen, The Blind Side.
Mm-hmm.
All of us didn't grow up like that. I grew up in a 2-family household.
Fantastic. And like you said, the box of the narrative that they like to tell, if we continue, as they call it, that heartwarming story. And, then the lady will read the narrative at the beginning, and then they'll show the kid walking through an old neighborhood or something like that. And we continue to eat that. That's going to continue to serve us. What we need to do is force the media to tell the stories of the Grant Hills and the Chris Webbers and guys who come from the 2-parent household and guys who were raised, or even if it's a 1-parent household, but it's the father. There are a lot of young men who were raised by their dads. Mm-hmm.
That's funny. And that story never gets told.
No, it doesn't. And we got to do something about that, because I think that is the internal destruction of communities, because you see what it does when we have our own social issues and conversation is that it pits man against woman, father against mother, sons against daughters, and that's the internal destruction that's always been occurring.
Exactly, a family breakdown.
Amen.
Thank you.
Appreciate you calling. Call us anytime. Talking Sports, WBCP 1580.
Take care.
That was real good, Joe. I was impressed.
I just read it off the script.
All right.
I'd like to thank the writers.
Okay. Well, before we go to break, second round of the NBA playoffs got underway Monday. Some great games have been played. Steve Kerr deciding on whether or not he want to go to the Knicks or the Warriors. What else are we going to talk? Donald Sterling's wife, Shelley, she's going to fight to keep the Clippers.
I would too.
And Doc Rivers said that'd be a very hard situation.
It would be.
And Kobe, he wants to be consulted in the next hiring of the coach for the Lakers.
Can Kobe even walk yet?
Yeah, he was on Jimmy Kimmel or something like that last night. I was just passing through, saw him. So we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk NBA basketball right after these.
Eureka! Welcome back.
See how professional I was with that?
Nice countdown. Thought we were supposed to use those Anchorman voices.
Yes.
Sam, how are you doing today? Mike, good to see you. We need to get some hair too.
I told you we got to do a suit show in suits one day.
I got a jumpsuit.
We consider it all ESPN style.
Is that what it is?
Only if we can have shorts on.
Shorts or
Flip-flops.
what do they wear? Jeans and tennis shoes and stuff like that under the desk?
Yeah.
They don't never.
You just have on the shirt and tie and coat. What's on underneath is
Doesn't matter. Huh?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, slacks are optional, is what we'll call it.
We should probably change subject. See how we're talking about cookies.
Y'all would not believe the conversations that goes on when the mic is not on.
Yes, they would.
These guys are stupid. Let me tell you, they're crazy.
Stupid is and stupid does.
That's it.
And we follow you, Bubba.
All right, let's get on with this.
I was pretty sure he was the director of all this too.
Yeah, he is.
What?
The PD, program director.
I mean, you did the count. You had a notes. You do the countdown and everything else.
Okay, where we at? All right, let's. If she was laying on the floor.
He couldn't resist.
I just dawned on me what she said. Oh. All right. Anyway.
Turn it off quick.
Second round NBA playoffs. That's what we headed.
Right.
The Heat look
Strong.
like the Heat. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for some reason or another, and I really don't want them to be there, but
There's nothing you can do about it.
and nothing you can do about it.
When you have the best players on the best team and a series, you win. Collegiate basketball, high school basketball is about the game. So an underdog can get hot in one of those type of games.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go back real quick, like the Indiana-Atlanta. As poorly as Indiana is playing, they still had a better team than Atlanta. That's why they won that 7-game series.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we talked about all the issues they're having on the court, off the court, issue on the floor.
Hey, you got a fight got started in the locker room?
Had to do with cookies and
cookies and
something else.
cookies and cream,
No.
you know.
You know how the fight got. Okay, here's how the fight got started in the locker room. And all right, two dudes, they were sitting there arguing about something, yada, about how poorly everyone was playing, etc., etc., etc. So the one guy says, "Why the hell are you yelling at me? You should be yelling at Hibbert over there, because Paul's the one that's screwing his wife."
Fiance.
Mm-hmm.
That's how the fight got started. 'Cause after he said that, he's like, "Oops."
Didn't mean to say that. I didn't know I'd let the cat out the bag.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally.
You see how he playing?
Right.
You
But
know.
remember, we talked about that last week. And, you know, when analysts and sports shows like ours sit back and wonder why. There's only two things, as we said before, can bother man to that point. One is his money.
Mm-hmm. And the other is his woman. But you really can't blame Hibbert, because I mean, you out there on the floor with a dude that's banging your wife.
And at the same time,
yeah, pass me the ball.
Pass me your wife.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
It is, but
I mean, not in Hibbert's defense, but he's not the best looking guy in the tool shed.
That's why he's upset.
Right,
so that's why he's really pissed.
When you find one, you might want to keep it.
And he was trying, but obviously what he was doing wasn't
good enough.
Right.
She had to move on. Hope they release a sex tape and we can watch it.
I know this is radio, but
yes, I said it.
And just how he implied, he said, "I hope there's a sex tape so we can watch it."
We can watch it.
No, that's gonna be a solo mission for you.
Oh, come on!
That's a suicide mission.
You saw the Mimi tape, haven't you?
No, I have not seen the Mimi tape.
With the
no
shower rod.
No.
Yeah.
When he said we, he was talking about him and Manti.
Oh.
Anyway, let's keep rolling.
We got to keep it rolling. But back to
Indiana's playing the Wizards.
So now they're playing the Wizards, and they're playing the same way.
Yeah.
But the Wizards are a little stronger, as we saw in that Bulls series where they took the Bulls down. John Wall and Bradley Beal, backcourt of the now, not the future, of the now.
Well, Hibbert seems to have gotten over that because he played pretty good ball this last game.
One game does not make an all-star.
I didn't say it did. I just said he played some pretty good ball.
Right, but you said he must have gotten over it.
So he ain't gotten over it yet?
No. You know. Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
You wait till the season ends.
Right. There's going to be a lot more of this story to come out. They win game 2, but it wasn't because he gotten over it. It's once again, I talk about desperation. Basketball is a very emotional sport. Indiana knew they could not go down 0-2 and go back to Washington.
Exactly.
The way Washington is playing. And even with the way they played, they only won by 4. 86-82. That means, usually in sports, especially basketball, is a 10-point swing, positive or negative, based on your home court. And they lost the first game, smash. Second game, they barely won. If I'm Indiana, I'm super concerned going back to Washington. Because if game 3, if Washington runs them out of the gym, if they don't win game 4, Indiana,
it's a done deal.
Series will be over within 5 or 6 games.
San Antonio making short work of who they playing? Portland, I think.
Old school versus new school.
Portland look confused because San Antonio was just running circles around.
You ever been to the Y and watched some young spry athletes come into the gym? Talking trash, take the shirts off, showing the 8-packs. Got on some little shorts, socks.
All tatted up.
Right. They,
and then us 3 and 2 other guys are down the other end.
Right, and we got our shorts over our sweats.
Mm-hmm.
We got
headbands on,
goggles, tank tops, goggles.
Some Chuck Taylors.
Got some type of joint support on every knee, elbow.
Smelling like Bengay.
Yeah, and we're stretching. And the young guys say, "Want to play?" Okay, we'll play you. And they get out there, and before the game starts, they're dunking and they're running around, and we're just looking at each other. We just giving each other head nods.
Set shots.
Right, and they look up and score 7-1, and they're arguing with each other, talking about, well, who's got the old guy? And the guy responds, "They're all old. Which one? They're all old." That's Portland right now. Again, San Antonio has been doing this since 1999.
About the same 3 or 4 people.
Well, but
3 people.
But it's not even 3 people. It's not the big 3. It's not Duncan, Ginobili, and Parker. Their benches outscored Portland's bench by 70 points.
Right.
So far, and I mean you got your Boris Diaw, you got the guy with the hands the size of a freaking dinosaur.
Leonard.
You got Splitter. You got the other Italian guy or Spanish guy, whatever he is.
Then you got Patty Mills. You got
yeah.
It's was it
Diao and
Ben Ely or whatever?
yeah, whoever he is. I mean, last night they came down 12 straight possessions they scored, and it was over with. And then you throw in the fact there was a snake in Portland's locker room, and before the game.
And what you said about being confused, yeah, I would be confused too if I just came out of series. I'm Aldridge, where I was dropping 40 on Dwight Howard, and I got a guy named Tiago guarding me, and I can't score 20 because everybody else is helping him, and they smelling like Bengay. And then Damian Lillard, he won the Houston series with a 0.9 second jump shot at the end. Now as soon as he puts it on the floor, it's like 7 guys on defense. This is, me and my sons talk about it all the time. My youngest son finally acknowledged, new school can never beat old school. You actually have to go through it. You got to go through that fire. Think about how many series from the last series that San Antonio just played against another old team in Dallas.
In Dallas, right.
And they survived that. You think playing against these young whippersnappers, as they would say back in the day?
But you know, Dallas, sort of like you said, they kind of like mirrored San Antonio because, like you said, they were old too. They were fundamentally sound. So therefore, those games, when they went 7 games, they were tough.
Went 7, and they had several, overtime games.
Well, and one of the things about San Antonio, not only has Popovich only been playing the big 3, maybe 30 minutes a game all year, which gives his bench players a lot of opportunity and experience, but Duncan, Ginobili, and Parker are all healthy for the first time in a long time.
Right.
Very good.
Yeah, so I got a feeling that, Portland may win 1 at home, but I got a feeling it'll be over in 5.
All right.
Put Miles, or what's his name in? Kid from Robinson, what's his name?
Oh, Myers Leonard.
Put Myers in.
Yeah, but see, he can't
Might
do
as
that.
well.
He can't do the air guitar on the
Well,
court.
that's true.
He can only do the air guitar when he's on the bench.
That's true.
Kevin Durant, MVP. Why don't he just go ahead and cut all his hair off? What's up with that?
I don't know. I know he should have. This should not have been his first MVP award. He should have had a couple more,
I agree.
or at least one more.
I think one of the things that was, the victor goes to spoils. I think when your record is the best in the conference or the best in the league, usually that player on that team gets the MVP. I mean, you go back a couple years ago when Michael Jordan played, and when he got about 3 or 4 in a row, and then you saw Charles Barkley get one, Karl Malone get one. It was one of those miscongeniality type awards, where it almost, there was no value in being the MVP anymore. But now I think the league has turned back around, and with Durant getting the MVP this year, he was, in terms of, as you say, numbers, he was the best player in the league. Now, when it comes to the best player on the floor, there's a question in reference to that in terms of how that plays out. We talked earlier about moms and sons, and with this being Mother's Day weekend, did you see his acceptance speech for the MVP?
Parts of it.
Yeah.
Amazing speech.
Yes. Very emotional. What I was surprised at, not only just the situation with talking about his mom, but the appreciation he showed to his teammates. You don't see that anymore in sports. A guy may make a blanket statement and say, well, if it wasn't for my offensive line, I couldn't do. No, he named his teammates individually. Whether they've been guys who'd been there with him for years, or a guy like Caron Butler who had just been traded to the team in February. He acknowledged each one of them. And in big-time sports where it's all about me, show me the money, I'm the guy. For a superstar to stand up there and acknowledge everybody, that was, to me, so much a touch of class that you really don't get out of athletes in this day and age, or they're not given the opportunity to show that type of class. So I was really impressed.
Well, and KD is just special. I mean, when he was his 1 year at Texas, I was close to the area, and just watching him in college as a 17, 18-year-old, you're just like, oh my goodness, how old is this kid? Because he played at such a level, and his abilities and his talent were just so much above everybody else they were playing against, and you see that now on occasion.
You know, the amazing part about him is being in the Boys and Girls Club system for so many years. He was in the D.C. area. Michael Beasley, that's now in the Heat.
Yeah.
They were together at the same Boys and Girls Club out in D.C. Could you imagine you're like 4th, 5th grade, and you're going to go play that boys club, and they got Kevin Durant and Michael Beasley on that team? But the other thing is the divergence of character with those two guys in this area. Beasley was drafted number 2 behind Derrick Rose.
Mm-hmm.
Durant was drafted number 2 behind Greg Oden. Consecutive drafts, 06, 07. Durant is now, we're talking about him as being an MVP in the league. Michael Beasley is an afterthought on the bench of the reigning 2-time NBA champs because of multiple picadillos, so to speak, off the court. And so a tip of the hat to Durant and his mom in terms, what they've done, to get to where he's at. But now going to basketball, look at the issue in OKC with Durant and Westbrook. When Westbrook doesn't pass the basketball and doesn't score, OKC loses. When Westbrook doesn't pass the basketball, but he does score, they win.
Westbrook will frustrate you. There was one game, he just get a rebound, he dribbled straight to the basket.
150 miles an hour.
Yeah.
He like a truck going downhill with no air brakes.
Yeah.
And the shifter is just going out of whack.
And either get it blocked or it falls off the backboard.
Right.
He will frustrate you. So, Durant, and you think Durant as a leader of the team, and I'm assuming that he's a leader of the team. You want to, come on, Westbrook.
But see, now.
Come on, man.
But now that's where I got to.
Really?
If it's Westbrook and LeBron James, they're having a fist fight on the bench. But because of KD's personality, I think that's why it works. I think KD is considered kind of a passive aggressive. He leads by example. You never really see him get vocal. You never see him point fingers. So I think that's why Westbrook can do what he does. If Westbrook played for the Miami Heat, if you took Dwayne Wade and put him on OKC and you put Westbrook on Miami, first of all, it wouldn't work because LeBron James would lose his mind.
Yeah, he would.
He would snap if Westbrook was there. But on the flip side, I think Dwayne Wade and KD wouldn't work because both of them are kind of that, real laid back and let you do your thing. And
Not the rah-rah guy. Yeah.
There you go. So I think that's why, the media and folks like us, we can point out to stuff about it. But if it didn't work, they wouldn't be where they're at right now in the playoffs. If they got put out in the first round, then they'll break up the band, this, that, and other. But, because I think sometimes KD needs a guy like that because of what we just said. He's not going to be the rah-rah guy and get the troops rallied up. And he's not going to do something to get you fired up. But Westbrook, he'll jump in the basket, bite the net off, bang on his chest, pull his clothes off, and run through the arena on fire. So.
All right, let's move on.
Clippers.
Yeah, that's who they playing. Warriors fired Mark Jackson. I don't even see why. Mark was a pretty cool coach, I thought.
Well, the Maloof brothers don't own the Warriors anymore, so that may have something to do with it.
A couple things that happened during the season. First of all, when you have to fire assistants because they're battling with you, usually, just like us three, you're the program director, you're the leader. If we always came in here and was complaining about everything you did, and you'd be like, all right, Joe, you got one more shot, I'm going to cut your mic off and turn you loose. Well, you turn me loose. All right, shh. People above you start to see that, and they start questioning your leadership skills. I think the second thing is that a lot of times we, in the general public, we see Mark Jackson interacting with his team. But we don't see Mark Jackson interacting with the upper management. And I think a lot of times when a coach goes into the season, he's got 1 year left on his contract. And they usually, they're in negotiations right now about a contract extension. When he doesn't get that extension, lamed up, he's gone. I don't care who the coach is. I think for Mark Jackson, though, what these 3 years at Golden State did for him put him in a perfect situation, because now the Lakers are going to need a coach. The Knicks are going to need a coach. And if Indiana gets bounced out of the playoffs soon, which I expect they will, they're going to need a coach. Mark Jackson has played in New York. He has played in Indiana. And he's well liked in Los Angeles. So I think for Mark Jackson, don't cry no tears.
Well, hang on now. Why are you patting Mark Jackson right now? Steve Kerr has been approached by the Knicks and the Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
So come Monday, he's supposed to be making a decision which team he's going to go to by Monday. So now where does that leave Mark Jackson? Those two teams are possibly out. Well, depending on who picks who, which one Steve Kerr goes to.
Right. Well, I will say this. When you got 3 teams, as I mentioned, 2 for sure need coaches, and, it's like a bad spades hand and a possible. I can still see Mark Jackson landing in one of those 3 areas. So
he will have a job next season.
Oh yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
And then here's the other thing. The personality that he exuded in those chalk talks during timeouts and stuff like that, if he doesn't get a job this year, he will be on the NBA, on TNT, or ESPN. He will be involved in that.
All right, Donald Sterling's wife, Shelly, she intends to fight to keep ownership of the Los Angeles Clippers. Doc Rivers, when told of this, says that would be a very hard situation. He doesn't think that him or the players would sit very well with them.
No. First of all, this is not about her having. I think.
Well, what she says, the fine and the lifetime ban does not involve her. So
exactly, and the team doesn't involve her either, because she's looking at it from the standpoint of communal property, like in a divorce situation.
I thought she was a co-owner.
That's what I thought.
No, but she was not the managing partner. Donald Sterling is the man, and I think that's where the issue comes into. Yeah, the Sterling family may have bought the team, but when you go into the NBA, they have to declare who is the managing partner to run the team. Because if we talked about this before, it's a franchise. And the NBA has all rights over your franchise.
Right.
And so that's the reason why they have to get the other owners to vote out Sterling so that the league can take the team over, and then they would be practically the owner of the...
Right.
She had no official title in terms of running the Los Angeles Clippers. Her only title was disgruntled, estranged wife, and sat on the sidelines at games every now and then. That's all she did. She's looking at it from the standpoint, as I said earlier, you see folks who go through divorces, well, that's half mine too. No. When the sale occurs, you'll get half of the proceeds from the sale. But in terms of any involvement in terms of management,
mm-hmm.
So I think that's where she's missing the point. But even further, if in fact legally they get this thing tied up in the courts, it's going to make up. Who's going to what Doc Rivers said? It's still a Sterling family.
Right.
Do you want to be a coach or assistant coach or player on that team? If Shelly Sterling or Miko Sterling, Tanika Sterling, or anybody else is running that team?
Shanae Sterling?
She might be there.
No, but that's the case. Hey, you see what's her name? V's or whatever her name is?
Goldair?
Serrano?
Well, what was the thing with Nixon? Deep Throat. She went and adopted 2 little black kids.
So her and Madonna have something in common?
You see how this is playing out, though.
It's just another.
Seeing how she's involved with a racist dude to begin with. She's African American, has Hispanic. He's talking all this crazy stuff about the race of people. She's sitting there and accepted it all in. That's cool. Just, can you go out and get me a Bentley? And then
Drop top Ferrari.
and you go ahead and talk some
Duplex?
more. And talk some more. Then you go out and adopt two little black kids.
Okay. Why?
Kanye wrote a song about this, didn't he?
And I think that was in, 2005, and it still applies today? Well, I mean, we are now feasting on all reality shows.
Oh, my God.
That's all this is. This is people, we have gotten to the point where all we want to do is get into the business of other people. And when reality shows became popular, and now that's all you see, from housewife shows to hip-hop shows to whatever.
Duck Dynasty.
Right. All it's about is sticking your head in the window of people that you would never see on a day-to-day basis. And all this has now become, it went from an ugly racial stereotypical commentary on a group of people to now it's, well, who is Miss Stroud? Who cares?
And you know she's shopping the store.
Oh, and shopping it. She's already done her, 2020 last week? Or
Yeah.
With Barbara Walters.
All right.
Yeah, she blew that.
Right, and you know why she did that?
Because she's stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
Bingo!
Yeah.
In case it's something, y'all didn't hear me, I said because she's stupid.
Stupid.
Yeah.
With a capital, stupid.
She sound worse.
Two
than,
O's.
She sound worse than Beyonce. I think Beyonce do bad interviews.
Ooh, let me get away from him.
Right, there you go. Because when he gets shot,
But
I
this
don't want anybody to mistake me for you.
right.
this girl absolutely stunk.
Yeah, because she's stupid, as Mike would
Who
say.
advised her to do that?
She probably,
Somebody else who's stupid.
probably she did. I think I'll do an interview. Hi,
Because
Barbara.
here's the thing. I mean, if she's a straight up gold digger and has anybody with any sense talking in her ear, they're telling her, don't do anything yet. The price is going to get higher and higher and
That's
higher
it.
the longer you keep your stupid mouth shut.
Right, that's it. Well said. Golf clap for Mike.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well said, well said.
I've known my share of stupid women.
Yeah, he sound like he was getting a little personal.
What we said at the beginning of the show, only 2 things make a man get that way.
He started leaning all in the chair.
Right, he's hey, stupid.
Well, Joe won't give me back my mic.
Oh,
So I don't know how loud I got.
I look, if it was a relay race, I dropped the baton.
I thought he was gonna name drop in a minute.
He was getting there.
I will not do that. They know who they are.
Oh, okay.
With your stupid.
Oh,
But
shit.
I think that's where it's just a reality show mentality that we have now, and everybody wants to know what's going on. For the lack of one of her friends, remember the woman who wrote the book about all the hip hop artists that she had sex with? Her name was Superhead.
Oh, yeah.
Now she's friends with that woman.
Yeah, I know.
So it goes to stupid. When your friend name is Superhead,
And you only have a letter for your first name?
right?
Stupid.
Yeah. What do you say, Mr. Duck? Stupid. So that's all I got to say on it.
Affleck. Oh, sorry, Joe.
Oh, I actually like the duck. Anything else? You just kind of. What are you reminiscing on some stupidity yourself? Yeah, you kind of went there,
He
didn't
was
you?
going down that list.
List. He was like, oh, stupid. Yeah, that was man tie.
No, I was just remembering about Superhead. You know, she used to go with the dude on
Bill Maher.
huh?
You just go with Bill Maher.
No, you used to also go with she was married to the guy on Family Matters.
Well, I know they dated.
I thought they were married at one point.
Edo.
Yeah, him.
Steve's buddy.
Hey,
Edo.
Yeah.
Can I do that?
Old superhead.
Yeah,
I seen the video too. I ain't gonna lie.
No doubt.
Yeah, she earned that name.
I see you saw it too.
But it wasn't with you. It was not with you.
Oh, shit.
Like you tried to imply earlier. No, we do not watch videos together.
Yeah, you sit in that chair and I'm 5 rows in the back.
No.
Joe, you see that?
Stop talking, Sam. We're getting to the good part.
Oh, shoot. All right, where we at here? Oh, okay. All right, that's that funny. Let's move on. Now we got one more story. Kobe Bryant, he wants to be consulted on the next coach for the Lakers.
He's earned the right. Most superstar veterans get to. I mean, Kobe's on his, once again, no pun intended, his last leg. So he wants that, that Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, superstar.
Give me my due. Give me my respect.
That's it, But I mean, at this point, what's
Why?
Right.
Why we need to talk to you, ask you? Because I've been here.
Fix your leg. Get your leg fixed.
Go start earning all that
Right.
excessive money we pay.
Yeah, you
Get off Jimmy Kimmel and
You played what, 6 games this season?
Right.
Something like that.
Fix your leg. Go to Germany, get the plasma injection, all that other weird stuff that they get done now that we can't afford. Go do that. But in terms of who's the next coach going to be, well, he clashed with Mike Brown, got Mike Brown run out of town after 5 games, and then D'Antonio, that was a train wreck. So I guess the first question I would have as management and ownership, what kind of coach do you want?
One that let me shoot the ball all the time.
That's it.
Well,
But going to the point about Mark Jackson, if you notice the style of play that Golden State played, that's the way Kobe wants to play. Where Steph Curry and those guys just come down.
Yeah, but Steph's a better shooter.
Not saying that they're not. I'm just saying that what Kobe sees is that's what he wants. And you think about Mark Jackson, he's not going to argue. You see him in the huddle, great conversation, never jumps the guy's back, nothing like that. That's the kind of guy Kobe wants. Because Kobe wants to be the one jumping guys and yelling at them and telling them what to do. Give me the ball, give me the ball.
He wants to be like Mike.
Right. And for him to get his 6th championship, which that's his goal.
that's never going to happen.
It'll happen if this happens. I already told you about the conspiracy theory I've got for the draft. When they do the lottery.
Yeah.
Number 2, if you can get a Kevin Love or a Carmelo Anthony or a LeBron James, one of those guys to opt out of there last year and come to L.A., and then that way you get a power shift from the East to the West, win that last title, and then he can retire.
Yeah, but he's got to get that leg fixed, like you said.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. We'll see. Hey, let's move to college basketball. It was announced that the Big Ten tournament in 2015, something like that, will be taking place in Washington, D.C. Much to the chagrin of teams in this area who's been playing in the Big Ten tournament in Chicago, Indianapolis, centrally located. And now since Maryland, Rutgers coming into the league this year, they felt the need to take the Big Ten tournament out to Washington, D.C.
Money, and it also will expand your recruiting base.
bingo. Say no more. East Coast TV market,
New York City.
tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, Philly.
D.C. for that matter.
That's it.
Maryland,
Maryland. You getting that whole eastern
Virginia,
seaboard.
right up in there. Yeah.
Yep.
You getting all of that. All because of 2 teams. Really, 3. You throw Penn State in now. You know, Penn State's been kind of that lone wolf sitting out east. But now with Rutgers and Maryland, you get all 3.
Yep.
There you go. That's all it is. Mike nailed it. Recruiting. You getting all the guys who play in New York City, Baltimore, D.C., all in that area, seeing the Big Ten tournament.
And they're also going to have a Big Ten Big East Challenge,
Yeah.
just like the ACC.
Yep.
Well, and that's the other thing, talking about the ACC, is now come the end of the college basketball year on that side of the country, there's not just the ACC tournament. You got the Big Ten right smack dab in Duke and North Carolina's backyard having a tournament. So
they're not sleeping, the Big Ten, are they?
No.
nope.
No, not at all. But I mean, everybody's doing it. The Big Ten is in an advantage because since they're centrally located, the spokes on their hub can expand out not only to the east but also westerly now, where everybody else is already at a geographic deficiency because they're already located. Like the Big East. Everybody's mostly located in the east or on the eastern seaboard. Big 12, Pac-12 schools, they're not going to be able to come the direction that the Big Ten can go. So, I can imagine the Big Ten now, after expanding east in a couple years, going west. Maybe a team like Missouri gets pulled, a school like Missouri gets pulled into the Big Ten, something like that. I know Texas for years, they've got their own deal. Mm-hmm. But I can see Texas getting pulled.
They've got their own network now,
right?
Too, so
that's what
ESPN's underwriting.
Mm-hmm. So,
all right,
not a bad deal if you're looking at it from the money standpoint.
Jim Brown calls the NCAA the most reprehensible organization God ever created. Total exploitation.
Hey, did somebody wake Jim up from a nap?
Right?
Where's he been?
Sound like back in the 60s.
Right.
It's the same organization.
Hey, Jim. Thanks.
I'm not going to tell him that, though. You can.
Yeah, I was going to say he's still a real man's man. But not saying anything that I think has not been said. Boyce Watkins, Dr. Boyce Watkins, Syracuse University. We've had it on the show several times. He's actually been the one that's been banging the drum about the NCAA for years. He also, remember, he taught down in Kentucky. Mm-hmm. And one of his conversations was about what he saw in terms of the treatment of the basketball players compared to other students on campus. So, not news, but when you get a name like Jim Brown saying it, it just adds more power to the movement in terms of what everybody else has been saying.
All right, let's move. We got some other stuff we're going to talk about before we go to break. O.J. Simpson's in prison on a hunger strike. People close to him, his friends, saying that he's ready to die.
Well, he's going on a hunger strike. He got fat.
Yeah.
He got real fat.
He's ready to die in 2 years with all the
6.
Didn't he go to solitary confinement for stealing cookies? You remember we talked about that last night?
There you go. He was getting a bag of Famous Amos out of the commissary.
Yeah, he was stealing cookies.
Maybe that's how he was paying for favors. Instead of cigarettes, he's passing out cookies. Hey, if you take care of this hit for me, 4 Famous Amos in there for you.
Yeah, so with that, did you watch the fight, Sarah?
Watched the fight Saturday after serious debate. I think.
Oh, you spent the $75.
No, it was a collective.
Oh.
He was charging admission.
And a 2-drink minimum.
All right, we're going to take a break when we come back. Dude got beat up.
We'll talk about that.
All right, we'll be back with more Talking Sports after these. Stick around. Don't go nowhere.
Welcome back. Last half hour, Talking Sports, WBCP 1580.
20 minutes.
Last 20 minutes, half hour, 15, whatever you want to call it. Down the stretch they come.
Oh, yeah. You watched the race?
Watch the race. Betted on the race.
Kentucky Derby. Hold on. Here's what we had last week.
Okay. Here's what we had. Here's what happened.
Joe, you had Candy Boy, Metal Count, and General A-Rod.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the Broncos.
None.
I think when the gates opened, I think I saw Candy Boy run over and get some candy.
I know General A-Rod was in the middle of the pack for a while.
Yeah.
I think they still waiting on him to come in. He'll be here in a minute now.
Right. The jockey done got off and he walked in.
Yeah.
He's like, where's your horse? I don't know. He'll be here.
I had Sam Rant, because namesake, and Riding Scent and Danza. So I got 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
Wait, how did you get 2 out of the 3?
Right. That's
Wait. Didn't Riding Scent come in second?
No.
He didn't. Who was second?
No, your Commanding Curve was second that you refused to pick.
All right, I got 1 then.
that's what I was like. Revisionist history here.
Now, Mike, he just went with the favorite. California Dreamin' came in first. I don't know who was
California Chrome came in.
Chrome first, yeah. California Chrome. And, of course, Danza was third. Who was second?
Commanding Curve.
All right, Commanding Curve was second.
What he's trying to emphasize is that he got 2 of the 3.
Yeah.
You got 1 of the 3. And I'm still at the starting gate. I am still picking. They're like, would you like to try again, sir?
So you got the hold on. Preakness is next.
Mm-hmm.
That is what, next week, I think it was? I think that's next week. So next Friday we'll see who's in it for the Triple Crown.
Well, first of all, the field will drop. What, they have 20 this time?
Yeah,
20, 21?
probably drop down
Off
to
of the
15.
No, it'll probably be even smaller than that. Probably 11. There'll probably be 11 horses at the
You think?
Preakness. Yeah, I don't think it'll be.
I don't think it'll be over 15.
That's what I'm thinking about, 15.
You say 15, I say 11.
Probably just be 5 at Belmont.
Right.
1, 3, 3 at Belmont. All right, let's go.
But let's go to California Chrome. Now, that he ended up winning, what, by 5 lengths?
Something like that, 5 or 6, something like that. He was walking away or running away,
Right.
however you want to look at it.
We haven't seen a horse run this strong.
Yeah, because he led for most of the race. Well, he was in front for most of the race.
Well, if you notice what happened at the beginning of the race, you see his jockey had to actually pull
Pull
him
him back, yeah. Ease him up a little bit.
Right, because he was ready to come out the gate like a old bat out of hell and just run 150 miles an hour, around that 1.25 miles.
Didn't have nothing left at the end.
Oh, he had plenty left at the end.
Yeah,
which
well, I
is
know.
why it's going to get interesting because, as everybody knows, they get longer. The next 2 races are progressively longer.
Right.
So we'll see if he can go a
Because
mile and a
Preakness is
half.
what, 1.5 miles, and then 1.75 miles at
yeah.
Belmont.
Belmont, yeah.
So it was just like I said, sit there and watch and start to wonder, are we going to have a Triple Crown?
Yeah, is it possible?
Yeah.
Big Brown walked away from a lot of people a few years ago too, and as they've said, it's been since what, 77,
79.
79. Since we've had
Aladar and
the Triple
Affirm.
Crown winner.
Affirm was.
Yep, Affirm was the last Triple Crown winner in 79. And Aladar got second in all those races that they had then. But you're right, Big Brown, everybody, because Big Brown won the Preakness and the Derby, and got smoked in the Belmont.
Yeah,
Smoked bad too,
Yeah.
pretty bad.
So I think the interesting story was the fact that California Chrome, the owner, this guy, what was it?
750 years old or something.
Right,
Like that.
and it only cost him about 10 grand.
Yeah, for the horse because it was a mare.
It was like an $8,000 mare and then a $3,200 stud fee or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
When people pay millions.
He had a bastard horse.
Well, I'll take that.
But a couple of days before the race, he was offered something like
Millions of dollars.
51. What it was? Hold on, 6 million. Hold on, 6 million for 51% of the horse.
Yep, and he said no.
Yeah, he said no.
And then I don't know if you heard his interview. He said, "I might be a dumbass, for not taking it, but I'm here."
Well, what's the name of the partnership is DAP?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Dumb at Partners.
Right. So he said, "But hey, he's a star now, and and he got 2 more legs to go in the Triple Crown, but." The horse will look strong. I will say that.
Now, if he wins the Preakness, his stock is going to go up another $4-5 million.
Right.
Oh, easily.
Oh, let him win the Triple Crown.
Well, I mean,
He's going to be standing like Johnny Manziel.
but with 4 feet.
Right.
I mean, you look at Secretariat, probably the greatest racehorse ever. His stud fees, even when he was 25, 26 years old, were just out of this world on the chance that your mare might produce another one.
Yeah.
You ever thought about the fact if you were a horse?
Oh, it's a great life. I know where you were going.
Just wondering, you know.
You didn't won the Triple Crown. You just 3 years old.
Run around the field, eat some grass, some hay, some corn every once in a while. Come here, it's time.
You just 3 years old. Exactly. And worth millions.
Right.
And not ever have to pay child support.
Right. It's a
great life.
You get paid
For having illegitimate kids.
The life of a professional athlete. Boy, I tell you.
Roy Hibbert. Paul George.
All right. The fight, well, that took place Saturday afternoon. That night, you had the big fight.
Marcus Maidana against Floyd Mayweather Jr. Now, before I give my analysis, I heard both of you when we were going to break saying Floyd got beat up. I would like for you to expound on that before I give my impressions.
He took a lot of punches. A lot of punches that Floyd Mayweather don't usually take. That's what I meant by it. And he got hit continuously throughout the 12 rounds. When was the last time this fight went 12 rounds?
His last few fights have gone 12.
What did I say about him?
I don't know if Mike wants to add anything to.
Oh, I was just gonna say the same thing that Sarge said. Just he got hit and hit hard a lot more than I've ever seen him be hit. Well, I shouldn't say that. A lot more than I ever remember him being hit. So I can't remember last time I saw Floyd Mayweather bloodied.
Well,
Anybody's blood, whether it was his or somebody else's.
three things. Marcus Maidana is not a boxer. He's a fighter. He came in, you know, the old saying, you know, he threw everything but the kitchen sink. He threw the kitchen sink, the microwave, the refrigerator, the stove, the cabinets, the kitchen floor, the house. He threw everything at him. The issue I had with the fight was the fact that Maidana, just like in baseball, no matter how many times you swing your bat, if you don't hit the ball, it counts for nothing. And Maidana threw over 800 punches in this fight.
Amazing.
800. But he landed less than the amount of punches Floyd landed on him. Floyd threw half the punches he threw. His connect percentage was at 56%. Maidana was in like 17 to 20%.
Well, but that's kind of skewered just looking at the percentages because of how many punches he threw.
That's right.
But that's my point.
17% of 800 isn't nearly as significant as, say, 20% of 100 punches.
Right. But the point is, and the reason why I use the baseball analogy, if you go up to bat in baseball, it's not how many times you swing the bat. So if you strike out every time you go up, but you swing the bat at every pitch, and I only swing when I know the pitches are good, and I will still win the game based on efficiency. What we saw here was two things. We saw a guy who did some of the most dirty tactics you've seen in boxing in a while. He tried to knee Mayweather in the head one time. He wrenched his arm one time, trying to hyperextend his elbow. He headbutted him in the fourth round, which has not been talked about in the fact that from the fourth round to the sixth round, Mayweather couldn't see. He was in the corner in the fifth round and told his dad he couldn't see, and his dad said, just keep your hands up. So he fought probably 2.5 rounds blind. From round 6 to the end of the fight, his accuracy went up, and Maidana's connect percentage went down. What we got to see, I think, to Floyd's credit, professionalism could have went out the window that night for him. When Maidana headbutted him, he hit Floyd low twice. He wrenched his arm, as I mentioned earlier, and other dirty tactics. But as I said, Maidana is a fighter. He's not a boxer. He's not going to go in there and try to do the quote-unquote sweet science. He's just going to go in there and just throw caution to the wind.
Try to knock you out.
But I don't look, when a guy's a rabbit punching a guy continuously, punching him in the back, everything he could do to take Floyd off his square. If they have a rematch, which I hope they do, Floyd will stand in the middle of the ring and knock Maidana out within 5 rounds. Maidana is so awkward. He throws punches. I've never seen a fighter throw an overhand right that's so looping that it never can hit its target unless the target is the back of the person's head or the shoulder blade or the kidney. And I think from that is where I got a greater appreciation for Floyd's skills, in the fact that he was fighting a guy who, for lack of a better term, had very amateurish skills. He was just in there trying to make it rough, And so, to Mike's point when he said that, he hadn't seen Floyd get hit that much. When you've got a guy in there that you don't know where the punches are coming from, you are going to take some punches. And early in that fight, Floyd did take a lot of contact. First 4 rounds, he did. But by round 6, Maidana, and the other thing I noticed, in the last 4 rounds of that fight, Maidana was spent. He had no energy at the end of every round, to the point where he barely could get back to his stool. And they were trying to, whether it be basically giving him water showers, to extending his legs, because when the rounds would be ready to start, Floyd would be standing in the middle of the ring and Maidana would be stretched out on his stool like, I got to go back out there again and do this? And I think that just shows you, when you step back from it and not look at it as Floyd Mayweather and Marcus Maidana, look at it in terms of the sweet science of boxing, you see the difference in the 2 guys that were in that ring.
When did Junior hire Senior back?
He brought him back 3 fights ago. And he brought him back because of a comment you made earlier about getting hit. When he fought Miguel Cotto, before this fight, Cotto, similar style as Maidana with a looping overhand right, hit Floyd more than he had been hit in several years. And that's why Senior came back, because Senior was the one that taught him that shoulder roll and his defensive posture. So that's what brought him back.
Well, I know they had a pretty nasty falling out. So
yeah, he had a pretty nasty falling out, but in terms of what he was able to do out there in that fight, and the fact that Roger is sick.
Oh.
Uncle Roger's sick. He's diabetic. He's been sick for a while, and so that's the reason why you don't see him as much as you used to see him over previous fights. Floyd winning now, he's 46-0. We talked about it last week. The goal is to get to that 50-0 demarcation. I've got a feeling that he'll give Maidana, out of all the guys he's fought, he's only had 1 rematch in his career. I can see him fight Maidana again, because it gave people something to look for in the fact that there's now a possibility that O could go.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why you can see a rematch coming up as early as this fall, fighting again. If Floyd wins that to go to 47, I can see him fighting Amir Khan, who fought on the undercard in the spring of next year, to get him 48, and then 49. Could be a variety of subjects in that fight. But yeah, Sam, I think you'll be 50. I think you should fight him to see if he goes 50-0 or 49-1.
I would drop him
Like a bad habit.
Yep.
I can see.
Hey, we got about 5 minutes left. All right, what's going on the first string? We got to do our first string.
Bang the drum, first string baseball. Not the big kettle. That's it. First string baseball is hot. Starting with the Suited League team, Creative Marble. They played last night out at Zahn Park. Started off slow, 1-1 game into the 3rd inning. Bats opened up a little bit. And they were up 4-2 in the 6th. Gave up 2 runs to go in tied. They decided to play an extra inning because, Little League is 6 innings.
Mm-hmm.
They played the extra because they had lights on out there at Zahn, and floodgates open for Creative Marble, and they ended up winning 9-4. Earlier in the week, I want to say Tuesday, out at Douglas, they had a close game against one of the tougher teams in the area, Illinois American Water. Pulled that game out 7-6. So right now, the string is 4-2 in terms of Creative Marble.
That's good.
Farm league teams, you got 3 different farm league teams going on out there, and they're playing real good baseball right now. The development of the kids is what I'm really enjoying to see, because they've got like 6. I think I shared this with you before, like 6 T-ball teams out there, ages 4 to 6. So just kids' participation is fantastic, and I'm just really excited for the future of the program. You know, we talked about more kids coming back after Dunbar had been torn down, and now the apartment complex is returned over there in that area. And, you know, the other issue we talked about earlier about dads, a lot of dads out there coaching, a lot of dads out there bringing the kids, a lot of moms out there still. And Douglas dogs are flying off the grill. They keep running out every day, so.
Well, they need to fire the concession person.
No, they don't need to fire the concession person.
They
We might just have
order
to
more.
just need to order more hot dogs and Hinkles. I mean, the demand is great, but I love that in the fact that if those things are coming off the grill, that means there are people out there supporting the kids.
Right.
And if the people out there supporting the kids are really having a good time. So they play at Douglas. The Creative Marble, the Suitor League team, plays Monday at Douglas. So I keep telling you, if you ain't doing anything.
Yeah, we want to come back. I want to say that, you know, I'm happy to see that the teams are getting a lot better from year to year. Because I remember a couple of years ago, you'd be out there, you'd be like 15 and nothing, 13 to 3, and all that. Now the games are a lot more competitive.
You just used the right word, competitive. That has been the goal from day one, is just to get the kids in a competitive nature. You can't, you know, you can play as hard as you can, but you still didn't guarantee that you're going to win.
Right.
But at least if you compete, you always have an opportunity to win. And what I've seen from the kids now and the coaches that they're out there really working hard to get to that competitive level so that they can compete with some of these teams here in town. Because quite frankly, you know, you've got teams in this town that kids are expending an inordinate amount of money, whether it be for travel baseball, equipment, lessons, etc. Our kids don't play baseball till they sign up in March. And we've been saying for years, we got to break that cycle. Football's a year-round sport. Basketball's a year-round sport. Baseball is becoming a year-round sport. And if you're going to participate in baseball, you got to make that a year-round sport too. So kids are getting there, man.
There you have it. How much time we got left?
Couple minutes.
A couple of minutes? Okay, well, who's playing tonight? NBA basketball tonight? Who's playing tonight?
I think the Heat and the Nets, Game 3.
Yeah, the Eastern Conference, I think it is.
Oh, is it? Okay.
No, that was
No,
not
Heat
the Heat
played
and the Nets.
yesterday.
Yeah, they played yesterday. The
San Antonio played yesterday. The Heat played yesterday. So
Indy and Washington.
Indiana, Washington, and
The Clips.
Clippers and San Antonio.
I mean, OKC.
OKC.
Yeah,
All
them
right.
two.
Them two. All right.
that one's at like 10 o'clock our time.
Who?
Tonight.
Who's going to be?
OKC and the Clippers. So I guess they're in L.A.
I don't think I'm going to be up that late. It's been
Okay.
a long day for
Could
me.
be watching the draft.
No, that's never going to happen again.
Second, third round of the draft, like Mike just brought up, it'll be on tonight. So if you know, some other guys who were that quote-unquote potential first rounder, but just slipped because the team needs, those will be the guys. This is where general managers make their money. Third round, fourth round, those guys that, as I said earlier, they come in, they may not have been a first round pick, but they seriously contribute. Richard Sherman, the all-everything cornerback for
Getting paid
Seattle,
right now.
$40 million guaranteed. But what was he? He was a fourth round draft pick. So this is where those guys that had that chip on their shoulder because they didn't get picked last night get picked tonight and Saturday morning.
We'll show you.
Do any Illinois players get drafted?
Yes. Jonathan Brown has got to get drafted. And the reason why I say that, Jonathan Brown, they always talk about that mean streak in an athlete.
Yep.
That's what he has.
He has that chip. Yep.
And because of that, I can see a Jonathan Brown going to a team that needs some special team help and needs some help with a guy on the inside. And if you think about it, since 07, 08, Illinois has more players in the NFL than any other Big Ten team.
Yep. Garoppolo.
I see him going tonight. I see a team that needs a quarterback. I can see him going. Kansas City. I can see him going to a place like that with an Alex Smith as a veteran, where he can sit with an Andy Reid and learn that system, and then maybe in a couple years be put on the field. So don't be surprised if you see him picked tonight.
Does Sarge get drafted tonight?
Unfortunately, I don't, because of the investigation and the drug testing of Sarge last week. I think Sarge will go in the 11th round.
And the cookie eating?
The cookie eating is really the main issue. Famous Amos, he had 2 times the level of Famous Amos in his system than any other player at the draft.
Thankfully, he wasn't on the floor.
Yeah, because nobody would have picked it up.
All right. That's going to do it for this edition of Talking Sports. We do this each and every Friday from 2 to 4. You tune in again next week. We'll be here. Lord willing, the creek don't rise. Hey, Mike.
Hey, thank you, fellas.
Joseph.
You know, Sam, a couple weeks ago I said a comment about if Monday had a face, it would be yours. Well, I just want to let everybody know right now, if you were on the floor, I'd pick you up and eat you.
One Mississippi. 2 Mississippi.
3 Mississippi.
4 Mississippi.
Oh, you got to get it before 5.
That's it.